So I don't know.
Okay, so the if statement is, you see, programming is mimics the way we do things in the real world. Okay, it mimics how we interact, how we act in the real world. The things we do in the real world are the things in which we do whenever we are coding. So in the real world, what we do is we make decisions. We make decisions in everything in which we do. We decide that we want to come to class. We decide if we want to go to church. We decide if we want to make anything we want to do. We decide, we make a decision on that thing. Now, you see, how do we make decisions? That's a very, very key statement. How do we make decisions? We make decisions based on particular conditions. Are we okay? So based on particular conditions, we make decisions. That means that for us to do a particular action, we need a particular condition to make us do that particular action. It is very, you see, I don't know how to say this for it to sound well, but if you don't understand this, your life in programming gets difficult very quickly. If you don't understand how to make logical questions, how to ask logical questions, how to break things down so that they can be logical. Once you cannot do that, your programming life becomes very, very difficult, because a condition is not supposed to evaluate to give you truth, to give you a digit answer. What does that mean? If I write 1 + 1, we all know that 1 + 1 is going to give you what? 2. The 2 here is not a logical answer. Conditions deal with logical answers. That means that your answer has to be either true or false. It cannot be anything apart from true or false. Another thing is that in English, we cannot compare more than 2 things. You see, I cannot say you are richer than me, and let's say I am richer than, I am just saying, let's say I'm richer than Eric, and Cornelius is richer than me. So I can't say Cornelius is richer than the 2 of us together. That English doesn't make any sense. I can only compare 2 things at a time. So I can only compare 2 things at a time. So I can say, for example, Eric is richer than Ba. I'm not saying it is true. I don't know their pocket. Before someone comes to say, how do you know their pocket? I'm just doing an example. I can say this. If I want to say Eric is richer than Ba and he's richer than Precious, again, it's just an example of what someone comes to tell me they are richer than everybody. This statement here is completely wrong. Why is it wrong? Because I'm trying to compare more than 2 things. So with this statement, I have to compare Eric and Ba, and then I have to come and compare Eric and Precious. Now, if I want to join these 2 things together, it is at that point that I need the logical operator. So it is at that time in which I have to say Eric is richer than Ba, and at the same time, Eric is richer than Precious. This is correct English. Now, in programming, I can't write the end. I have to write its symbol, and its symbol is the double end sign. So when I write this, I mean end. And if I write white or, I can use the double pipes, which is this. So this statement here is very important for us to understand. First of all, the condition. It is either going to give me an answer that is true or false. Number one. Number two, I cannot compare, I can only compare two things at a time. So I can compare Eric and Bar, and I can compare Eric and Precious. I cannot compare Eric, Bar, and Precious because that is me comparing three things. If I want to compare more than two things at a time, I must use the logical operator or the logical operator and to compare the two. So for example, the structure of an if statement, as I said, and again, the structuring is the course. The questions are not the course. The questions, it is assumed that you people are knowledgeable so you can break the questions down yourself. That is not the course. The course is the structure. That is why, as you can see, I take a lot of time explaining the structure. Because if I see you writing the structure wrongly, I will be very annoyed. So if I want to write an if statement, then I need the if keyword, and I need a bracket, and in the bracket, I'll put in my condition. And then in the body of the if statement, I can write whatever action I need to perform. What does this mean? Say I want to write a program which identifies, one second here, I have a call, 1 second. Hello, sorry about that. So again, in this condition here, I have to write the code for it. And I want to write a program that will tell me if I have an even number, sorry, this is a bit too far, but if I have a positive number or if I have a positive number, just a positive number, the program should take a number and tell me if I have a positive number or a negative number. Very, very simple program. Now, the question here which comes in, you see, this is the question which comes in. I have to check to see if the number is positive or not. I have to make a decision on the number. That means I have to use the if statement. The question that follows after that statement is, what condition do I use to identify if a number is positive or not? It is here that programming and life and you come in. Because programming is not maths. As much as people want it to seem like it is maths, it's not maths. It is us writing the steps to something. Now, the question is here, and here is the question, and this is the question I'll ask a few of you. If, and here's the question, listen to the question very well. If your sister's child or your child or a child on the street so that none of you will tell me that you don't have a sister, so you don't have children, and you, like I said, you don't have child, but there will be a child on the street. So one of them is covered. Walks to you and says, oh, Bosu or Antile, you are doing MSc. You grab, what is a positive number? What will you tell the child? Senior.
Is any number greater than 0?
Is any number greater than? Are you sure? Let's ask Eric. Eric, what will you tell the child?
I think I'll agree. Once you are greater than 0, you are positive.
Okay, so luckily we didn't tell the child that, hey, well, told the child that any number greater than 0. You see, that statement in which they made right there, how will I write it? You see, maths is the language, or is the universal language in which we speak in. So how will I write any number that is greater than 0? And that is what we have here. So this thing in which I've just written here, this piece of code I've just written here, means that if you are a number and you are bigger than 0, and so what? So this piece of code here solves one half of our problem for us. It tells us that if you are a number and you are bigger than 0, what should happen? We should tell the user that, oh, that number is what? Positive. That means we should display to the user that the number is what? Positive. Full stop. That means that if here our number is, let's say, 5, that means that over here we have written 5 here. Is 5 bigger than 0? The answer is what? Yes. If the answer is yes, then that means that this entire section will be evaluated to what? True. So this would look like, if true, display what? Positive. Now, if the number we have here is -5, that means that this section here will change to what? -5. Is -5 bigger than 0? No. That means that this would evaluate to what? False. Hence, this section here will not be displayed. Let's see how I'll write this in my IntelliJ to write a program for that. How will I write this in the IntelliJ so that it would execute and then give me the information in which I am looking for? How will I write it? Okay. So over here, is my IntelliJ opened up? Let me see. IntelliJ. I have a lot of things opened up. So yes, here we go. Close. I have a program opened up already, so I'll just use that section there since I want to write just a small program. And then I would zoom in closer so that you guys can see. Please, is it, can you see? Is it okay?
Yes, please.
Okay. So now I'm going to empty everything up here. So I'll have something like this. Good. Now over here in my program, I have to, of course, create the variables I need. So I need something to take the information the user will be entering. And of course, the user is going to be entering whole numbers. So I can use the data type what? Int. Because int will help me store the information that the user is going to enter. Now, I can give That's location. I'm going to store that information. Any name I want. I am going to choose to call it what? Value. Because if I type number every day, you people will be typing number. It is not about number. It is just a place I'm storing information, and it is a name I am giving my program. Then I have to create the object of the scanner class. Now, of course, as I've explained tediously in our other lessons, the scanner class will help us to take information from the screen that we are using. So this piece of code here will help me take information from the screen. Now, I must ask the user for the information that he or she is going to enter into my application. And remember what I said the other time, that asking for information is in 2 steps. Step 1, I must ask. So here I'll use system.out.print, okay, to display on my screen, please enter number. And the user would gladly enter a particular number for us. Now, once I write please enter number, the next logical step is the person to enter the number. That means I have to create a space that I can receive the number that he or she is going to enter. Now, remember what I said, that the scanner class, in which we are calling display, is going to help us get information from our screen. So here, we can see that the moment I type display dot, the next thing in which I have to type is what? Int. Why? Because I'm telling the computer that when you go to the display, go and bring me the next integer. Why am I taking the next integer? Why didn't I take the next double or the next float? Because the location I am dealing with to store that information has a data type of what? Integer. Everything that I do has a reason. We don't just do anything for doing sake. Every single line you type must have a meaning. And you can see that every line I type, I explain to you why I'm typing it, why it is there, what is it doing there. Now, you see, at this point in time in my program, I have asked for the number, I have received the number. Now, I can check if the number is positive or not. Why do I check it here? Because if I come and check it here, I don't have any number to check with. So logically, it makes no sense to check it there. I can only check it once I have the value from the user. So here I can check if, into bracket, the number the person has entered is greater than 0. Now, if that number is greater than 0, then I can display on my screen. And what am I displaying on my screen? That the number is what? Positive. Now, this piece of code here, will run and give me the results I'm looking for. Let's see if it is true. I've clicked on the run button. So the application will turn and turn and turn. Play. Good. Do you mean stop running? Okay. So here I'm running. And then it says what? Please enter number. We can see that. And we can see the cursor is blinking, which means it is waiting for me to enter the number. That means that at this point, I'm on 0.7 here. So if I enter 23 and I press enter, that means that I have gone to step 8. I have jumped to step 10 here. I'm using step 10 because that's the number that is there. And that means is 23 greater than 0? It is. So I am expecting number is positive to display, and we can see what number is what? Positive being displayed for me. Now, if I run this again, and I come here, and I type negative 23. I expect to see nothing here. Why am I seeing nothing here? Because negative 23 is not greater than 0, hence nothing is being shown. Because I've told the program to do nothing if this place is what? False. Any questions? Any questions? Are you there?
Yes, sir, we are here.
Yes, sir.
No questions at the moment.
Are we sure there are no questions? There should be plenty of questions, though. There should be plenty of questions, yo. Now, you see, the program we did, if this place is false, right, nothing happens. And nothing happens. But as we can see in life, when this place is false, things happen. For example, after class today, I would watch the Manchester United game. Now, if Manchester United, through some miracle of Jesus Christ, is to win that game, I will buy a bottle of Coke and drink. If by some miracle Manchester United loses that game like they should, then I will sleep and hope that tomorrow will not come. Note that my actions in this scenario are two-pronged, which means there is an alternative to the action that will be performed here if it does not work. That means I have an else statement here. The else statement is used to provide an alternative. So in our example, if number is greater than 0, you are coming here. But if number is not greater than 0, then the alternative kicks into gear. And with the alternative, we get to now display what? Negative. That means that in my code here, in my code here, if I add the else statement here, I can easily now tell any user that system.out.println into brackets, number is what? Negative. So if I run this now, as I should, and I type negative 23 here, I am getting an answer now. Why am I getting an answer now? Because now if this evaluates, and remember what we said, that it can evaluate. And when I say evaluate, I mean like if you solve it, it can even only give you true or false. So here, a question has to be asked. Is negative 23, and I'm using negative 23 because when I asked for the information and I received it, what I got back to the value was what? 23. That is why here would be negative 23. So is negative 23 greater than 0? The answer for that is what? False. No. That means this entire place will now be what? False. Now I only enter this section if it is true, but if it is false, then the else will kick into gear, and then I would use the statement that is what? Here. Does that make sense? Are we there?
Yes, sir.
And sometimes it's like I'm alone and I'm talking to myself. That's why I always
Oh,
ask.
no, you are not. No, you are not. We are here, sir.
Are we
Yeah,
sure we are
we are
here?
here,
No, please,
sir.
you're not. We are
Oh,
here,
yeah.
sir.
Sir, we are here.
We're
Yes,
paying
sir.
attention.
Are we sure we are understanding what I'm saying? Because question will come, question will come, and I
Sir,
will not
sir.
fail.
Sir,
You know, first time for everything is. So we are trying to actually get the base like you're going. So,
Oh, okay.
I mean, yeah.
Now,
Sir, I have a question.
Oh, okay. What's your question?
So at this point, with your code, if you type 0, what response is the code going to generate?
Oh, no, yeah. Well, let's see what happens if we type 0. So if I click here and I type 0, I'm sure it will tell me that my answer is negative, but let's see. If I type 0 here and I press enter, it will tell me that my answer is what? Negative. Now, why is it telling me my answer is negative? Is 0 bigger than 0?
No.
That means that the else statement will kick into gear. Do we understand?
Okay, yeah.
So here, the program is working like how it should work, but there is a logical problem. And that brings us to the third form of the if statement that we can use. And the third form of the if statement that we can use is something we call, where is it? Yes, the third form of the if statement we can use. Now, you see, it is in life, it is not every day that it's either I will do this or I'll do that. It's not like that. The moment your pay comes, the moment your pay falls in your account, balam, you cannot be honest and say there are two things you have to do with your money. Of course, there are some people in which when the pay comes, you divide it into two. If you're a very good man, you give your wife half, and you keep half, and your wife will come for your half, and then when it finishes, there will be a happy home. But that's not how life works. That's not how life works.
Yeah, it's true.
The moment the pay comes, you have a list of things you want to do. So again, there are scenarios where you have multiple things you have to do, and you have multiple conditions you have to check. What does that mean? So if, for example, the number that the person has entered is equal to 0, then we can display and tell the person that you entered 0. But if the number the person entered is greater than 0, then we can say that the number is what? Positive. Then, if you see, but the problem with this is that we are seeing this as one on its own, and we are seeing this as one on its own, but they are not on their own. They are cascading into each other. That is, if I check and you don't fall in this range, then probably else you will fall in this range. But remember, else, we can't use else and write a condition. As you can see, this here doesn't make any sense. Because else is like, any way, any way. Even if I was supposed to say it in tree, if it is not this, then it is this. But if I'm saying it is you, or it is this, I can't say it is you, but it should not be. See, doesn't that statement itself doesn't make sense. So if I want to say it is you, or maybe it could be you. Then I bring the else if. So the else if allows these statements to be joined together so that using the same number, I can check here for the condition and here for the condition for the same number. And of course, in life, if you are not 0 and you are not a positive number, then of course, you in life, you will be a what? A negative number. So here we would have what? Negative. Knowing this, we can see that again in our code. We start from here, comparing the number here. And if you don't fall within this range, then we'll come and check if you fall within this range. If you're not within this range, then of course you are here. Let's see how I'll make that modification to our code here. And in making that modification, it means that at the top here, I will just check if into bracket the number the person is entering. And you can see that I am using a different variable. I'm using value here and number there. I just want you people to see that it is just a place I'm storing information. They mean the same thing. The meaning behind the storage is what is important, not the name that is there. The name can be anything. It should be one word. It shouldn't start with a character. It shouldn't have any space in it. But the word you put there is meaningless. What is meaningful is what will be kept there at that point in time the code is running. So here I'm calling it value, and you shouldn't be confused. So if value is equal to 0, and as you can see, I can't use the single equal to because that is an assignment operator. But if I want to do comparison, I use the double equal tools to do that comparison. Now, if I want to join my two statements together, it means I have to bring else what? If. Very good. So it's either you are 0 or you are bigger than 0 or you are less than 0. That means you are negative. So here, I just have to put in the number is what? 0. Let's see how this program would execute. Now, if I run it again, and the lovely question that our gentleman asked us, if I put 0 here now, tell me that the number is what? 0. If I run it again, and then over here, I come and put in 12, it will tell me that my number is what? Positive. If I run it again, and then over here, I come and check and I get negative 23, it will tell me that my number is what? Negative 23. Any amount you put there, it will tell you the corresponding result. So we have seen the if, we have seen when it is just if else, and we have seen if else if else. Let's see an example using the if else if else. And what example can we use to solve a problem of this nature? We can use our almighty grading problem. And what grading problem am I talking about? Okay, if you write exam and you get between 100 and then 80, then you have what? What do you have? Is it A?
Yes.
Okay. If you have 79 to 69, and I 60, I think it's 69. 79 to 60. Let's say 60. Then that's when we get B. Okay. So if you have 59 to 54, okay, then you have C. Okay. Then finally, if you have 54 to 50. Oh, okay, let's give this one to. Let's push all of these people to C. So here, if it is 50, we have C. Then over here, when it is 49 and below, then you have the F. Okay, good. Now, in a scenario like this, whereby you have to determine the grade of the student, giving the mark of the student, it means that here it is an if statement you have to use. It is a conditional statement you have to use because the individual is falling between a range. Are we okay? Now, here again, we must understand the question that is being given. It means we must derive a letter grade, A, B, C, and F, from a mark a particular student gets. So let's see, can someone give me a particular mark a student is likely to get?
85.
25. So if someone gets 85 or 25?
85.
85. So if somebody gets 85, that means they are getting what?
An A.
An A. Please, does someone not understand that concept? Okay, everybody understands that concept. That's fine. So let's ask a question here. Let's see if someone can tell us. Since there is Lucky here, then let's ask Lucky because she's always lucky. So Lucky.
Yeah, hello, sir. Hello, I'm here, sir.
Okay, so Lucky, if let's say I get 54, what do I have?
54.
Yeah.
You get a C.
I'll get a C. Great. That means that if I want to know the letter grade, I need to ask the user the mark he or she got. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, that's fine. So now I want to write the code to execute this program. Are we okay? I want to write the code to execute this program. That means that, first of all, I need to know what mark the student got. So here, instead of me writing its value, I'll write its what? Mark. Of course, the scanner class needs to be there because I need to ask information from my user. Is that okay? Now here, system dot out dot print. Please enter mark. That means mark should be equal to display dot next word int. By now, this should be easy for you. Asking for information, getting the information should be easy for you. Now, if the mark the student got is greater than or equal to, so this is how I would write that statement, greater than or equal to 80. That means that that student, system dot out dot print, is going to get a letter A grade.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
So in the system.out.print, I see there's no ln attached to it, but at the bottom where in the if statement, there is a print ln into brackets grade A. Is there a difference between the print and then the print ln?
Yes, there is.
Okay, sir. Please, what could it be?
Okay, let me show you. Over here, if I break LN here, it means that after you display, move to the next slide. Is that okay?
Okay.
So here I'm going to comment this because I'm not done with it. So I'm going to just comment it out. And then as I've commented it out, I'm going to run my code. Oh, sorry, I'm going to run my code here. So here, watch where the cursor is.
Okay.
For me to enter the grade. You see where the cursor came?
Okay. Okay.
It displayed what I wanted it to display. So here it displayed it. Then when it was done, it moved to the next line.
Okay.
Can we see that?
Yes.
Now,
Sir.
when I do it like this, it doesn't look nice, you see.
Okay.
If I come and I remove the ln from there and I run it again, yeah, stop it. We'll see that. Yeah, stop it. We'll see that the cursor, right, is on the same line that the text is in because
Okay.
it didn't stop and move to a new line. So when I type it, you are typing everything on one line. So please enter the mark and you say 34. You say, oh, okay, the mark is 34. It makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Do you understand?
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. So it depends on how I want to display the thing. Sometimes I want after displaying, it should move to a new line. And sometimes after displaying, I want it to remain there so that there would be the aesthetics of it would be pleasing. So here I have else if the mark the individual has is greater than or equal to. Now, going back here, we said that the first statement in which I made, that is here, 80 and above. So here I have to do 60 and above, 50 and what above, okay? So here I did 80 and above, so it means over here I have to do 60 and above. And if you are 60 and above, then that means that you have a letter grading of what? B. And then else if the mark is greater than or equal to 50, then that means that you have what? C. Now, of course, if you are not A and you are not B and you are not C, then obviously else you are what? Mr.
F.
F. So you are F over here, done. So now if I run my program again, and then I type, let's say 54, it tells me that the person got what? C. Now you can see from here that it is acting like a sieve. Those of you who were lucky enough to play in sand when you were growing up, you realize that when you take sand and you pour it into your mother's colander before she will see you and beat you up, the sand will pour and then some of the stone will remain at the top, you see. So that's the same way this is behaving. So if you are not here, then it will come and check if you fall here. So let's say, for example, I entered 34. So here, is 34 greater than 80? No. So you come here. Is 34 greater than 60? No. So you come here. Is 34 greater than 50? Yes. So it will display C and stop. As we can see, that is what it did. You understand? So this will allow us to sift through and find the individual or the range that we want. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir. Sir, please, I have a question.
Yes, sure.
So I understand this code that
Sure.
you have put there, but I wanted to ask you, is it mandatory to debug, or just when you click run, it will just run and then you key in the input like you are doing.
Is it mandatory to debug?
To click on debug before you run, or you can just, after typing it like this, you can just run it straight.
But typing it, you can just run it. You only debug when you think there's a problem. Do you understand? Like, for example, if I run this and it didn't behave like how it should behave. Okay. Let's say I run this. Okay. And then I put in 101. It will tell me I have A, but as we both know, no one can write exam and get 101. Right?
Yes.
No one can write exam and get 101. And then if I run it again and I type in here -12, tell me I got F. But as me and you know, no one can write exam and get -12. If you get -12 in an exam, then that means the teacher who is teaching you, he really hates you. So this means that there is an error somewhere. Are we okay?
Okay, sir.
Of course, there is no error. It is behaving like how it should behave because 101 is greater than 80. And then, of course, we said everything in this range. If you don't fall within this range, then you should be F. So it is giving us a fair idea of the logic we put in, but it is not conked down. Okay. For us to conk it down, then that means we have to make modifications to this. So it is at this point whereby sometimes you'd want to debug the program or put in breaks in the program to say, okay, you run till you get to this point and stop, or run till you get to this point and stop, so that I can see where the error is coming from. But for me, most of the time, whatever I am doing is correct. So I had hardly, especially if I'm writing the codes we do in class or the examples you bring in class, the likelihood of me making an error is very, very small. But in your case, you would realize that you will forget to bring a bracket here so that when you run, it will tell you that there is a problem. You can see there are errors here. All right, just because I didn't bring the bracket that is here. So I understand. That is why whenever I'm teaching you, I always say, practice. Have you done something? Show me something. You know, did you try it? Did you watch it? Did you do it? Because as much as I can come and stand here and talk, you will not be good. That one day I'll tell you the truth. You will not be good. You would only be good is if you try it and you make mistakes and you learn from the mistakes. So me looking at this, I already know what the mistake is. Do you understand? I already know where the mistake is coming from, especially me doing this. But again, you are learning, so it is best that you minimize your errors. And there is where the structure comes in. As I said, the questions are just there for us to see different scenarios. The structure is what I care about. So I do not want to see a scenario whereby you bring if these brackets don't come, then this one doesn't open and close. Every statement ends with a semicolon and you don't bring it. System is supposed to start with a capital S and you start with a small s. Those things is what I care about. Those things is what I care about now, especially when we are learning. Okay, but whenever you are done writing,
Okay.
and if you have errors, to show you have errors, then it is your job to go and solve the errors in which you have. Now, for those who are wondering, what do you do to stop it from me doing 101 and all of those things? Of course, I could put in an if statement at the top and say if into brackets, the mark is greater than 0. Are we okay? And at the same time, very key, and at the same time, the same mark is less than or equal to 100. If you fall within this range, then enter here and go and do all of this. If you don't fall within this range, else we can put in here system dot out dot print ln mark is invalid. So when I run this program again, and then I am going to put in here 101, it will tell me that the mark is what? Invalid. Because before I start checking if you fall within any grading, I will check if you are between 0 and 100. If you are between 0 and 100, then I can check your grading. If you are not, then I can mark you as what? Invalid. So we can see that we can have an if statement, and inside the if statements, there are other if statements, but we can use them in correct places to control the way we let the flow of data move inside our code. Does that make sense? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Are we sure? You are too quiet.
So
We are soaking it. We are soaking it in.
We are following closely.
Hey, you are too quiet too. I can understand following, but the way you are so quiet.
No, sir, we are not quiet. Oh, sir, you keep the scenarios keep coming, and then you keep adding one or two things to show us how to add it when there's such a scenario. So we are following, sir.
Okay, no problem.
Okay.
All right. So we will take another question, and then we will go through that question again. So over here, I have another question for you that we'll go through and then see how we can solve that question too. Is that okay? So one individual should read the question for us.
Okay. A bank charges 10 Ghana cedis per month plus the following check fees for a commercial current account. 0.10 pesos each for less than 20 checks. 0.08 pesos each for 20 to 39 checks. 0.06 pesos each for 40 to 59 checks. 0.04 pesos each for 60 or more checks. The bank also charges an extra 15 Ghana cedi if the balance of the account falls below 400 Ghana cedis. Into bracket, before any check fees are applied, write a program that asks for the beginning balance and the number of checks written. Compute and display the bank's service fees for the month.
Thank you so much. Now, anybody who does not understand what was first read, say it now, or forever hold your silence.
I don't understand.
The frame is clear.
So I don't understand.
So the truth is, I think when you are introducing the thing to us, it looks very simple, but when you bring out the question is serious.
Oh, okay. Let's see how we solve this one. I hope you all have a bank account.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Okay. And we all understand what banking is, right? So I don't have to explain banking. That's good. Now, you are saying that at the end of every month, a bank is going to charge you 10 pesos per month. Are you okay? Now, this charge, the moment you have a bank account, at the end of the month, the bank is going to charge you 10 pesos, 10 Ghana cedis per that month. Any misunderstanding on that point? So we all understand that.
No,
Sure.
this one is clear there.
Okay. Now they are saying that if you give a check to somebody. So in a month, if I write a check to people, are we okay? If I write within that month, if I write 20 checks, that means that I will pay 10 pesos each for the 20 checks. If I write between 20 and 35 checks, I will pay 0.8 pesos each for those checks. The same goes for this range, and the same goes for checks above 60. That means that if I write 10 checks, I'll be paying 10 times this, which would give me that equivalent amount in money that I'll be paying to the bank. Now, if my bank balance falls below 400 Ghana cedis, then they will charge me 15 cedis because my bank balance has fallen below 400 Ghana cedis. And I'm supposed to write a program so that at the end of the month, the bank, with a click of a button, can make all of these deductions and then they can walk out. Do we understand?
Yes, sir.
Now, if we understand, then that means we can start writing the program. Now, remember, the program said the first thing we should do is ask for the beginning balance and the number of checks written. Why is that important? Because the beginning balance will help us to calculate if we should charge the person 15 cedis or not. And the number of checks written will help us to calculate how much we should charge for the checks that he has written. So the first thing I must do is ask for the beginning balance and the number of checks that an individual has what? Written. Very simple. So over here, it means that I need to create two variables. One variable will hold the beginning balance. So I'm going to say double, because it is money, I can't use int, else the pesos will vanish. So double beginning, let me just write B balance. And then over here, I'll have my int, because the checks, you write it 1, 2, 3. Don't write it 1.5 check. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 check. So here I'll have my check being what? Int. Of course, I would need the object of the scanner class, because I would ask the user for some pieces of information. But apart from that, I'm good to go. Over here, I'll say, please enter the beginning balance. And of course, if I will ask the user to ask the beginning balance, I'll also ask the user to enter the number of checks what? Written. These are key. For the beginning balance, I would save it inside B balance. So this should be equal to display dot next what? Oh, sorry.
Double.
Double. Not int, because the B balance is being saved as a double. So next double. But over here, we can do our normal check is equal to display dot next what? Int. Beautiful. So the first half of the question asks for this and this. We have done it. So this half, where is it? It's here. That says, write a program that asks for the beginning balance and the number of checks written. We have done it. We have done that part. The next half says compute the fees. Now, the information they gave you here will help you compute the fees. Remember, they said that before any fee is computed, before anything is done, we have to do what? Calculate if the person falls below 400 and charge the person 15 cedis. Is that okay? So the first thing we are supposed to do is check if your beginning balance, all right, is greater than what? 400. Are we okay? Now, what did they say we should do if your beginning balance is greater than 400? Let's come back here. It says the bank also charges an extra 15 cedis if the balance of the account falls below 400. So we are not even looking for people who are above 400. We are looking at people who are below what? 400. And if you are below 400, then our charge to you is going to be what? 15. Case closed. Now the 15 is 15, so we can add it here to what? Charge. Of course, I can't use a variable I have not declared. That's why you can see that the moment I used it here, I recognize that I haven't used it at the top. I came to use it. So if your balance falls below 400, then we'll charge you 15. We are finished with that section. We are done. Remember, mass is the way in which we talk. All of this English, that is what we just did there. All of this English here, it must come first. If you fall below this, we must charge you 15. That is what we just did. Now we can move to this section here. Are we okay? This section here. This section here is saying that if you are between these ranges, we are supposed to charge you for the checks you have done. So let's see. How are we going to do this? Let me comment this out so that I don't have to go back and front with my coding. So I'm here. If the check the person entered is greater than, are we okay? So let's see. So if the check is greater than 60, if it is greater than, or if it is greater than or equal to, because he said 60 is parts, it is greater than or equal to 60, that means that the check fee, okay, that means that the check fee is going to be equal to the check the person has entered times what? This. So we are done with the first half. Else if the check falls between this range. Yes, Prince.
Yeah, so I wanted to understand, so the initial examples you gave, we had if, and it followed by else if we are doing the else if. But then over here you have if, and you have another if. So I just wanted to.
Oh, okay. You're talking about this if.
Yeah, the balance if and the check if.
Okay, Prince, hold on.
Okay,
hold on. All right. Now, when you woke up this morning, did you brush your teeth?
Yes, I did.
After that, did you eat?
Yeah, I've taken breakfast.
So this half here is one thing you are doing.
Okay.
You are making a decision at that point in time. But that doesn't mean that if I make a decision at that point in time, I can't go and make another decision.
Okay.
That's number one. Number two, if I make a decision, I could make a decision that is, if I wake up, I have to brush my teeth. So here, have you woken up? For example, yes, I have woken up, then I have to brush my teeth. So I'm done with this. Okay. Now here, I have to decide, oh, if I have a lot of money, why don't I buy wachi? Or I want to save some money, so you let me go and get some kobe. Or probably I don't have money, so you let me go into the fridge and check what I can do there. The other examples we gave were solving particular things, so we just came and solved them. In this example, you have to make a decision, first of all, to check if the person falls within a particular balance. We have done solving for the balance. Now we have to check if the person has written a check that month. If the person has written a check that month, then it means we have to do some checks with the check the person has written. So
Okay.
it is their decision. You see, in the code, you can make multiple decisions. And whenever you have to make a decision, you use the if. The question is, the decision, is it just one decision, or there is an alternative that is here? Is there supposed to be an else over here? In this case, there is no need for any else. Or we could bring an else here and say charge is equal to what? 0. That means that if you are below this, it is 15, but if you are not, then the charge is what? 0. If we don't want to bring this one, we can choose not to.
All right. So there are 2 separate blocks.
There are 2 very, very separate blocks. Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. So over here, I'm checking to see if the person, if the check is above 40, if the check is above or equal to 40, or the check is below or equal to 59, then that means that we can write the following, that the check fee is going to be that. Now, who can tell me why these 2 things are underlined?
So the check fee variable hasn't been declared yet.
It has, it's over here. Check fee. Can you see it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because the check fee variable is is an integer, and the outcome of the multiplication will bring a double result.
Very good. So the outcome of the multiplication will bring a double result. So the computer is telling you that, Charlie, what you are doing here, the answer would be a decimal, and you are saying this should be an integer. So you get wrong figures. Do you understand? So you can see the moment I brought it to the double section, my line over here went down. Programming is not that difficult. It is about thinking. And, you know, thinking a lot is a very hard thing. But it is about thinking. So over here, if you fall between 20 and if you fall between 39, then over here, we are going to charge you. Oh, here we are supposed to charge you 0.6. Then over here, we are going to charge you 8. And then finally, else, if you are less than 20, so else if the check is less than or equal to 20, this is less than or equal to 20, then over here we are supposed to charge you a fee of 10. So now we are done with the checks, and then we have calculated the amount of money we are supposed to charge you for the check over here. But don't forget here that the bank charges you 10 cedis per month. If you have an account, the moment you have an account, 10 cedis is charged. So now the ending balance, okay? So ending balance. The end balance is supposed to be equal to the check fee plus the charge plus 10. Okay. So this is the amount of money in which the bank is going to charge from you. If I call it end balance, someone will be confused. So let me call it end charge, so that everybody knows that this is the end charge. Are we okay? Let me call it N charge. Good. Now, why is this underlined? It is underlined for a very important reason. Now, you can see that over here, I'm using charge. I will only use charge if the person's balance falls below 400. That means that if the person's balance does not fall below 400, I will never use charge in my program. It will never be used. Hence, if I am using it here, it is a problem, because if I run the program and someone never uses it, I will get an error. Hence, that is why I have to give this an initial value of 0, so that whenever it is never used, the initial value of 0 will kick into play. Hence, this you can see is not underlined anymore, because I am using it now, and now it has a value of 0, or it will have a value of 15 if the person falls below 400. The same goes for this. I will never get a fee if the ranges never fall within this. So I must give it an initial value of what? 0. So that if this never happens, if all the checks here never happens, it still has a value of what? 0. So at the end of the day, the program wants us to do what? It wants us to display the fee charge for the bank. So of course, now that we have calculated the fee charge from the bank as N charge, we can just say system.out.print ln the bank fee charge is, and then over here we put in what? N balance. And again, I did not put this inside the bracket because it will just display N balance. If it is outside the bracket like this, then it is going to display the variable and the content of the variable. So if I run this program again, over here I come and I run it, I would have a pop-up here. I have no error, as we can see. It says, what is my beginning balance? My beginning balance is, let's say, 500 Ghana. And how many checks did I write this month? Oh, I wrote just 10 checks. Hence, this is the bank's charge that they are going to charge me for having that amount of money. So again, if I run this program again, and let's say how much money do I have in the back? I have 200. I wrote 10 checks. That means that I'm going to pay this amount of money as my charge, because now the 15 cedis has kicked into play. You can see that the code we have here is the English in which we have here, the lovely English. I've just written this entire code here in less than 15 minutes, to be honest. To be honest, if I was writing this, I would have spent less than 5 minutes on it. Any misunderstanding? Any misunderstanding?
No, sir.
No.
Each line is explainable, and you should stop looking at things as if they are a whole. If you learn programming deeply, you realize that you stop seeing people as wholes. You start to see them as bits. You can see from my example that when I was writing the program, I started, this is what they want us to do. I moved on to this half. I moved on to this half. Then I moved on to the first half. I broke it down to the various sections and I wrote the code for the various sections. I didn't write everything at once. I understood what the question wanted me to do. I understood they were a bank. I understood what they wanted us to do. But for today's lesson, it was to teach us how we can write if statements. So as we can see, we have a statement that it's just one if statement, no alternative. And we can have a statement that is multiple if statements. Of course, this is not the only way you can use to write a program. I could have rewritten this in another way, with another ideas and so on and so forth. That is your job. Your job is to rewrite it in a different way, in your way. Remember, the answer is always going to be the same. We are always going to boil an egg. How we boil the egg, the question. Some may be faster, some may be slower, but at the end of the day, if you have an egg that is boiled, you have the correct answer for now. Later on, we'll see how we can make our code more efficient and more better. Are there any more questions? If there are no more questions, then as always, I would end here. I would send you all the recordings of the class and everything to your class group for you to watch in your own convenience. Again, if you have any problems during the week, you can call me, not at night, when it is 8 o'clock, but within the hours of working, you can give me a call, and then we can have anything you want handled. Practice. Do not wait to exam. And it is not hard. As you can see, the way I talk about the quiz, I make it look easy because I've done it around, so you too, you can get there. All you have to do is practice, 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 practice. Is that okay?
Okay,
Please,
sir.
Okay, then.
Sir,
Yes.
I'm Molanyo. I'm quite new. In fact, this is my first class. This is the first time I'm joining class.
Then today would have been horrible for you. I'm so sorry.
So I wanted to find out if I can get the past videos from you.
Oh yeah, it's in the group. I think we can resend all of those videos. I'll see to do that after.
Okay, all right.
Sir, I'll resend the ones that you sent on the group. I'll resend it to him.
Okay.
Yeah.
He has joined the group, but the previous messages here, he won't see it. So I'll resend those ones.
Yeah. So you can
Hello,
just
sir.
rewatch it if anything. Yes, please.
One thing I just want to add, the assignment you gave. So some of us were unable to more like put it on Friday, but then
I'll
Friday.
I'll extend the time to Tuesday.
Thank you, sir. All right, sir.
Don't
Thank
worry.
you very much.
I've been made aware of it, so I would extend the time to Tuesday so you can get it done. But try and get it done there because the school wants us to mark them.
Yeah, it's actually ready.
Yeah, so just make sure by Tuesday all of you are done.
All right, okay. Thank you.
Any other questions, please? All right, enjoy your weekend. I hope to see you all next week.
Okay, all the best, sir.
Okay, thank you very much.